Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nate Casts. This time, I'm bringing you guys some coverage from this weekend's past ESL Pro Tour Korean Cup. I'll be doing some of the matches from the Korean Cup and some of the matches from the Europe Cup. I normally don't get to do these types of games live because I'm usually asleep. I have a dog and a girlfriend, so starting my stream at 9 p.m. to cast until 7 in the morning is no longer a viable option for me. In the bottom right, we have Creator facing off against the Mexican Terran Special. What is that? Into the Clan. Interesting name for a clan. So he's going to go for Proxy Racks to start off this series. These matches, I think, were all best of 3 since they were part of the ESL Pro Tour. These replays were provided to me by ESL. So big thanks to those guys. They're like, hey, we know not everybody can cast everything live, but obviously they want coverage. So they hooked it up. I cannot watch any of these either. So I actually don't know what happens. I do not know what happens at all. I just start from the lowest round of matches that they give me. And I'm like, I'm just going to go through stuff until I don't feel like going through it anymore. So pretty standard probe scout coming out of our blue Protoss player. Gate, Nexus, Core, extremely standard. So doesn't know about this Proxy Reaper, which could be problematic. Is chrono boosting his Zealot since he saw that there's no barracks here. But sometimes Terrans will hide their barracks outside the main or in these like weird spots. Special is no exception to that. So he absolutely does not want to risk a scenario where he doesn't have access to defense. And that's why you chrono this Zealot out, because you want it to kind of... The Zealot can't really kill the Reaper unless the Terran makes a huge mistake, but that's kind of the point. The Terran's forced to run in circles and try and deflect, dodge, run, dive, and dodge. I just said dick. I'm sorry. It's okay, guys. We're all mature adults here, locked inside of our apartments for the next few weeks. Hopefully you're all doing well regardless, unlike these probes. If a Reaper jumped into your house right now and started kiting you like this, what would you do? Please post your comments in the chat and in the comment section down below. So the Marine follow-up from the bunker in the natural is going to force a bit of an investment out of Creator. And the interesting thing about this probe, trying to be annoying, his factory's on the way back home, probably command center. But the interesting thing about this is that this forces the chrono boosts. Even if you don't kill the Nexus, you get their chrono boost on the gateway instead of the Nexus. So if you look at just the impact that it has, he's killed 2 probes, but even though his Nexus was so much faster than Special's command center, which is only just now beginning, the worker count is actually slightly favoring Special because Creator is unable to make use of his macro mechanic in an economic sense and has to burn all of his chrono boosts onto Stalkers that, for the most part, won't be very useful until he has Blink available. Otherwise, Special, with his Cyclone follow-up, can do kiting, poking, and prodding. Really, it's Blink that kind of gives Protoss that next level of map control in Terran versus Protoss. Look at the SCV load, unload micro into the bunker. Just buying as much time as possible. Really, that's the whole big shebang. Another shield battery? Great. Special's thinking to himself, I ain't going to be pushing you for a little bit over here. That battery's actually out of energy, so I think we're at salvage stage for this bunker. He's going to try and salvage it. Will he get the salvage off? Looks like it. Yes. So he's going to get 75 minerals back. Almost kills that Stalker. All in all, I like the way that this starts for Special because he manages to take a little bit of momentum at the start of this map. He's able to obviously put some pressure on it. I didn't even think about this. Oh my God, that shield battery. He canceled the second battery. The Cyclone actually does have a reasonable amount of damage output. It only has 120 health, which is not really a lot, but since those Stalkers were so softened up and we don't have any further attack like Blink or anything, it definitely puts the Stalkers in a nice position to get more work done. And this Cyclone will easily kite the Zealot to death. So still could force another chrono boost onto a gateway unit as Warp Gate is finishing. The shield battery does not have a ton of juice on it. Did he lock onto the rocks there for a second? That's awkward. He's going to build a Marine. I like this, though. Burn that shield battery energy. Second Cyclone is going to show up for Special. Now, this one only can take one more hit, and then it must go home. Although some would say that's a little bit adventurous in and of itself. But probe count is starting to go down. The nice thing about this barracks is it gives the vision for Special. Let me fix the colors. This barracks gives vision for Special. And if you think about it, oftentimes it's kind of... You talk about what's hard about TvP. It's about playing that macro game. But by doing this cheese, Special basically buys himself a huge amount of time between the harass. Oh, the observer sees the liberator. That's pretty big. But he buys himself a lot of time to get that natural situated, get the worker count going. And he's only down a handful of workers, which in Terran vs. Protoss is very good if you are trying to stay on an even economy, because usually the Protoss player is able to freely chrono boost their workers. They get up to that 44 mark by the time that you're trying to get your natural situated, and it's a very difficult situation to deal with. Good control from Creator to not lose these stalkers, and he should be able to kill this liberator. I mean, these stalkers are all permanently damaged. They can never be repaired or healed. They can restore their shields, but at the end of the day, the maximum hit points on all of these units is 90 now compared to the standard 160. So scans, kills the observer inside of his own base, and Special's going to rebuild his barracks. He absolutely does not want to try and do something silly like go into mech just because he lost his first racks. And also, he couldn't even build any more factories anyway without rebuilding the barracks, so might as well add a couple of barracks. But what's the composition here? We got 3 cyclones. Oh, were you going to build a turret there, dog? You see El Tanko de Sijo slowed you down there. So Special's got a couple tanks, a couple cyclones. I like this. It's a pretty good defensive setup. There is a warp prism, but I think with 3 cyclones and no blink, that's asking for a lot. I think that's trying to do a lot right there on the Terran side of things. Or excuse me, on the Protoss side of things to try and kill the Terran there. I think the biggest thing right now is that we have an even worker count between Special and Creator. And in my mind, this is always a good thing for Terran, because usually in a macro game, Protoss deflects like the first Reaper harass, and then as the Terran starts to go into their production, Protoss takes that third base at around the 420 mark at latest, where sometimes we see it earlier. Good scan to get the observer there from Special. He's got a Viking on patrol. He knows that there's a warp prism on the map, doesn't want to risk it there. But because the third base is being taken so late by Creator, the economic disparity that you often see in Terran vs. Protoss, well, it's really not there. Been heavily mitigated by Special's extremely aggressive opener, which has bought him a ton of time. I do find this interesting. He's going to load up. Now he scans. He's looking for a third. He's like, do you have a third base or no? The answer is no. So, as it does now begin, the Cyclones would love to snipe the third. That's like the easiest target. But he doesn't have mag field accelerator, so it's not like the Cyclones are really going to put out a tremendous amount of damage. But things that we definitely need. Blink is coming. Colossus range on the way. The 1-1. He doesn't look like he's chrono boosting the upgrades super hard. He's a little bit more focused on trying to get the Colossi out. Assumes it's going to be a bio game. I don't think the observer saw those medevacs, but he's going to peel off a few units towards the main anyway, since he wants to move the rest of his army to the third. And here we go. 3 Cyclones. If they lock on to the Stalkers, they're going to be pretty useless. Yeah, these guys aren't going to get anything done. So lift up, pull away. But this Zealot right here is going to see the bio army coming. And this is just one force field square to block that. And then we all know that the Big Daddy Colossus can do a lot of damage, since this is mostly Marines over here. So bio's going to stem. Medevac's coming over towards the main base on the southeast side, trying to grab a few of the probes. As these medevacs fly back behind the mineral line. And he's doing a pretty good job of trying to pull Creator in multiple different directions. But I have to say, Creator has not really taken any damage since the start of this game. And now he's finally got an observer that has been unspotted up towards the front of Special's base. He knows what's going on. He can see what he has. These medevacs trying to get away. He's going to trail off a mine drop out of this. He's going to trade 2 Widow Mines for 2 probes. Not a very good deal. That's not as good of a deal as that Costco vodka I got the other day. That's all I'm going to say. $12.99 for what? 750 milliliters? It's just, you can't beat that. So he's going to bring this. I'm surprised all the Cyclones are still alive, if I can be honest. That's pretty great. That's Blink's finally done. So you've got Blink, you've got 3 Colossi, and the Terran player is building Vikings, which are very flimsy, much like those Cyclones. So opportunity abundant for Creator now. The Special is going to go for a big push. He's going to bring out a massive army to the front line. He's got, item 4 medevacs is a good count. Might want to get rid of these rocks. Okay, well, actually, if Creator gets rid of the rocks, that helps too. But he can also sidle down to the south side. That scan tells him everything he needs to know. He says, all right, I just need to wedge myself between your natural and your third. coming down over to this position. That shield battery does have its energy back, so the Colossus is able to take an extra hit or two from the Vikings. He's going to try and stim the bio under the Vikings so that they can continue to move north and push the Colossi back. And Immortal comes out, immediately gets swallowed whole. These two siege tanks on the left side not really doing a whole lot. They're just out of range of the Colossi. And the bio is going to load up and try to retreat as the Vikings kill all but one of the Colossi. Now he is going to be coming down from the high ground. The medevacs, of course, are going to give that vision, but the blink onto the siege tank for the Stalkers, most of them will die. But can Big Daddy Colossus stop this? We had a couple Marauders running up front trying to lead the charge, but it does not seem like it's going to be enough. There's the blink forward to try and chase for the Stalkers, but he says, you know what, my next reinforcements is here. I am ready to take the fight. Special looking for opportunities, but I have to say, very well defended there by Creator. However, you have to ask yourself, how well is this army going to work since he transitioned into building Immortals? +2 attack is almost done. He's getting +3 armor, and I guess that's got to be the saving grace. This armory is so late for Special that he's just going to have a really hard time once that +3 armor kicks in. And if he, as long as he sticks on chrono boosting that +3 armor, his zealots are going to be pretty much unkillable by the bio. And that's one of the big things that we talk about in Terran vs. Protoss. Upgrades are so important. Those zealots, so tanky. And when you're trying to make that yeet YOLO 420 blaze it dive onto a Colossus at the last second, it's generally going to result in, well, not getting the kill if the Colossus has 4 armor to your Marines 7 attack. So the armory is done. I'm waiting to see +2 start up for Special. He floated his factory to the northeast. This is not Wings of Liberty Special. I don't know what you're doing. So there you go. +2 attack starts. But he's going to try to wedge the army between the bases again. However, Creator intelligently brings everything over to the natural. He's like, yeah, you ain't got shit over here, dog. Back it up. I ain't worried about that. And this is a scary army because it can chase now, too. Especially with those Robbie Anderson lots. They are fast. He does manage to slip a medevac inside of the main. We've got 8 Marines. We all know how much damage those can do. 10+ probes dead in the blink of an eye. No pun intended, as the Stalkers shut down the medevac, but the Marines still managed to grab a few more frags on the way out. So the economy of Creator has been blasted, but he does still have a very well-rounded army composition of Colossi, Archons, charge lots. He's got +3 armor coming in very soon. He's going to have a window where that +3 armor is done, and there's only +1 attack for Special. I'll be honest with you. You can almost kill a Terran in that situation just by sprinting zealots, mass zealots into them. Honestly, it does work. If you're that far behind on upgrades, that is the strength of the zealot-based armies. His planetary fortress is coming in. It looks like it should finish before any harass would get there. The Stalkers actually turn around. Good dodge on that mine that was built at the proxy factory. So +3 armor is going to finish. Losing that factory could actually hurt him, by the way, with this ghost transition. He will not be able to build nukes. He does not have a factory, so he can't build nukes. This zealot's going to run forward. He's going to scout this 4th base and be like, oh my goodness. Oh my damn. Look at that. Kills 2 SCVs and then just backs it up. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Because my daddy taught me good. His 2-2 is almost done. 30 seconds to go. If Creator could force a fight right meow, it would be the best single opportunity. Of course, being up 3-3 to 2-2 is still good. But right now, Special's still on 1-1 for another 10 seconds. So it looks like he's going to be able to survive getting punished for that specific situation. However, this is still a massive army. Does he have the EMP upgrade? Looks like it. No, it's almost done. 3 seconds away. Okay, so that first EMP not hitting quite cash money. It's going to kill the 3rd base. Everything's coming down the ramp. The Archons trying to blast the bio from the top side. I don't know if there's enough zealots. This is a shit ton of bio. The Vikings are going to kill the Colossus, giving up quite the arc there. I feel like those force fields may have ended up hurting Creator more than helping. Also hitting a bit of the anti-timing there with those upgrades. Going to bring the Colossi back. The Vikings are landing, which makes that Colossus a little bit stronger. He's doing some pick up and drop a micro. He's playing hot potato with the Colossus, and the Zealot reinforcement wave is chewing through what's left of this bio. We know the Zealots are so good at tanking, especially when you build this many Marauders. They're just not very good at cutting those down. He will get the Stalkers on the tail end. And I think the big thing to keep in mind is all those workers that Creator lost. He only has 50 probes to 69 of Special, and that's just not good. That is just not good, because you talk about those power units, you talk about what makes them good. When you're going to do a push like that off the back of no economy, You need to hit while you still have that upgrade advantage. You need to hit while you have that +3 armor versus the +1 attack of the Terran Bioforce. Those Zealots take such a massive decrease in damage if they're able to make that push with that double upgrade lead, which is honestly something that happens pretty frequently in TvP if you're able to get to that point. Excuse me, if you're able to get to that double forge point in the game. And honestly, some Protoss players would do it off of one forge, just go straight armor. Although, obviously, the Colossi and Archons benefit greatly from that Colossus. But in my mind, a lot of this goes back to the way that this game started. Special going for that proxy to delay the third base is, and I always thought that this was one of the reasons why Maru did this a lot in the last bit of a successful period in his career that he had, because the whole point of TvP is, you know, in the old days, it used to be that you're Terran on 3 bases, the Protoss is on 2, and the Protoss is going to either try and kill you, or you're going to try and kill the Protoss while they get their third base. And the roles are reversed, right? Modern Terran versus Protoss is the Protoss is on 3 base, and the Terran is on 2. And the Terran is either going to do some sort of 2 base all in, or the Protoss is going to try and kill the Terran while they take their third base. So it's very much so like how it used to be. But in modern TvP, Terrans use proxy builds to delay that fast third, and when it works as well as it does this game, Special can get into a really good position. He's got a Liberator Siege on the third. He's sending another one of the natural. Now Creator has to ask himself, how do I split my army up? How do I deal with this? Got Liberator in the left, Liberator on the right. Disruptor Shot goes out into the middle of the bio, gets a massive chunk, but is that enough? The EMPs blanket the Archons, stealing away their life force. One Colossus gets taken down trying to run up the ramp, and there are still 4 Vikings left that can try to pick that off. There's only that 1 shield battery from the start of the game, and it is not going to be enough, I don't think, to defend everything here. That Liberator getting a couple of extra kills as well on that Stalker, and these Disruptors, I just don't think on their own they're going to be able to close things out. Special never got that +3 attack, so the Zealots are still not a terrible option, but with this many Marines coming in to reinforce, I feel like you could finally land those Vikings now. GG. Special takes the first map. Fantastic gameplay. Absolutely incredible, ladies and gentlemen. I've literally never seen anything like it in my whole entire life. Also, there's no delay because of how I'm doing this, so if you guys want to say hi, you can. Unless you're watching this on YouTube, in which case, obviously you can't because it's not live. Let's go to game 2. That was freaking sweet, dog. That was a good game. I'm not cutting the VODs between games for series anymore, so we're just flowing through the whole thing. We're just flowing through the whole thing, baby. All right, game number 2. In the bottom right, trailing 0-1, we have Creator. And in the top left, we have a bunch of people asking for the score. Ree! In the top left, he is Special. Now, in my opinion, I think that Special has a good chance of being able to win this game if he pulls it out. But honestly, without the cheese, who knows if the economy of Creator will be too powerful to overcome. I found out I can use my thingy to sample my own voice while talking, and it's honestly pretty funny. Creator. Anyway, I'm gonna save that now. Now I figured it out, guys. I figured out how to only have to do the intro for the first map of any match. I'm kind of a god, honestly. Like, let's be real here. He's scouting for them proxies. He's scouting real good. Meanwhile, Special, I mean, he's going for, he went from, what was it? Last game would probably, you could describe that as like, I don't know, like the Caramel Sutra Ben & Jerry's, where you're like, oh, well, that looks like it tastes good, but also I don't want my kids asking why it's named that. And then this game, we're back to a nice, you know, like a Tillamook vanilla. High quality, but very basic grounding in the flavor principle. So it's a Reaper expand, and I'll try to, you know, highlight some of the differences in how this opener shapes up versus the way that Creator is playing for this map, because I do find the to proxy or not to proxy is a big question mark, and the value of doing it versus not doing it, what maps it's good on. This map, you really only have one way to jump up into the main. It is this cliff here. Many Protoss block it or keep a Stalker or Adept up here, but you can't jump up here anywhere, and you can't jump up here anywhere. So it's a little bit easier to funnel the Reaper That's why the building placement is going to be set to prevent the Reaper from playing Ring Around the Rosie. If you get the Reaper to dive in, it'll usually path to the bottom of the mineral line. And then the only way it can go is back out towards the Adept/Stalker. And even if it does get to the Stargate, it's going to get pinned here, or probes will come swallow it. So Special sees that. He's like, you know what? I don't want to go in there. I don't want to go in there, Dennis. And he doesn't see the Stargate, consequentially. But at some point or another, you have to suicide the Reaper. The unit is literally worthless in this matchup for anything other than scouting. He has the bunker, the fast bunker done at the front. This is 100% necessary. Your basic units in Terran vs. Protoss are not very useful until you get a couple of upgrades like Stim, or some supporting units like Medivacs that can allow them to be a little bit better defensively. You could bring the Reaper and just shove it in the bunker. That's fine. SCV ready. Raise your depots. So let's see what we've got going on over here, because we've got the Phoenix coming in. Thank you, Belair Starcraft, for the raid. Cheers, brother. Hope you're doing well, man. You're European, right? You might have cast these games live. No spoilerinos, please. I love you. So it's actually a Phoenix opening out of Creator, which I do find interesting. He wants to have that early airplay to shut down like a mine drop. But Special, he never scouted that it was a Stargate. Oh, did he see the Phoenix with the Reaper? He could be aware. He could be aware that it's a Phoenix opening. And Phoenix openings are interesting because if you've ever played a game against Rotterdam, he will make you believe Phoenix are overpowered. Having played multiple games in my life against Rotterdam, I now believe Phoenix are overpowered. Not being serious. It's a joke, because Roddy's very good with his Phoenix control. Good Phoenix players can be terrifying, though, because there is definitely a lot of good return potential you can get. This early Viking that he's building defensively, the Cyclone, all big targets. And the other great thing about Phoenix openers versus Terran, if you're a Protoss player and you're like, I want to harass, but I always lose my Oracle to a Widow Mine, the Phoenix can survive a Widow Mine shot. So, and it has enough shields that the splash damage does not actually like deal a whole lot of damage to the other Phoenix. So that's one of the reasons why the Phoenix can be nice. They're also really good versus Vikings early on, because Vikings do not have any armor. And they're also very good against Cyclones, because they have Cyclones just have very low health. So you can pick them up and kill them with one or two Phoenix pretty easily. This, of course, delays a lot of the other options for what a Protoss or Proto Terran might want to do. Still a little bit early. I think just 3 Phoenix not going to be able to cut it. Special's doing a good job of defending, though. Having the 2 Marines here is extremely important. He even unloaded the bunker. It's going to be scary, though. Like, if you play... Some Protoss players will do, like, Adept Oracle. But knowing that it's Phoenix, Phoenix usually is not accompanied by a frontal assault. Some Protoss players will try to do a big push off of it, but it's just not as common. We were talking about the economy in game 1, though, and things already looking way better for Creator with the way that this started. He hasn't been as focused on getting to a beefy army, right? He's going Forge Robo Bay, single Forge, off of an Immortal opening out of the Phoenix. But look at what happens when you can put the Chrono Boost onto the probes. Already up 10 workers, and the 3rd command center just now turning into an orbital, getting that extra mule out to help Special push his own economy forward. Despite the help of those extra mules, I always like to point this out when you look at the income levels at this phase of the game. The Protoss player able to saturate a couple of extra geysers with the benefit of those extra workers. And as good as those mules can be, they do not actually put you ahead by any serious margin income-wise. So that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of Terran players talk about how they need to get damage done to Protoss early. And it's one of the reasons why I actually really like Special's proxy play, because in the given example of game number 1 of this series, he was able to really leverage the slowed economy of the Protoss in a big way that set him up for a couple of alley-oop dunk plays over the army of Creator. But now Creator is sitting pretty at 65 probes, going to go up to 68, looks like. We'll see if he gets that 1 extra probe. Just build 1 more for me, buddy. That's all I ask. And he's going to go into Colossi with the armor upgrades. He is adding a 2nd Forge and a Twilight. A late Twilight Council can be dangerous because you're putting everything on the Colossus and Phoenix to win you the game if the Terran player decides that they want to push. But Special lands the 3rd. He's building SCVs. He's getting himself going on that 3rd base. Goes for the scan. Every Terran hates to see that when they scan. They're like, oh, Protoss is actually completely saturated on their 3rd with both geysers. Well, I've got 10 SCVs here. And Keck. So Special now feels the pressure. He has to move out. He has to go do something. You can't just let Protoss sit back and macro up. It almost never works for any Terran. I think maybe TY back in the day. Someone's going to reply with like a 5-year-old YouTube VOD and be like, Nathanias, someone did it here. I'm like, okay, buddy. I can't read this replay because it's written in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. So we've got just a few mines. Without combat shield, this is suicide. So you have to wait for combat shield. The Colossus is going to two-shot your Marine. All the force fields. Okay. And to quote a famous doctor, right. Oh, yeah, by the way, there's still Phoenix. So, no, you're not going to drop while you're doing this. And he's going to have to also bring that medevac around. So he's going to try and do the cheeky mine flip. And this is still kind of weird, right? But now charge is almost done. He bought himself the time. He's getting +2 armor. Charge is almost ready. And that's going to make this way harder to get through. But is he going to be able to buy himself enough time? That's a big question. Phoenix come in, lift up a Cyclone, lift up 2 Marauders. Love that he's focusing on the armored units, the anti-Colossi units. These guys are going to come in from the south side. He's got the Immortal to anchor this as well against the Siege Tank. And with 3 Colossi now and that range upgrade complete, a phenomenal defense here by Creator. Now, we did have a couple of the mines managed to slip inside, but hardly any probes killed. And a really good control here to save that. And surely we'll also see the death of this medevac. I do think... Okay, yeah, no, he didn't even start blink. But the Phoenix will catch the medevac regardless. Does move a triple drop into the natural expansion. Trying to make a few of these Widow Mines to burrow over here. Does take down the Photon Cannon. And we have Storm researching on the Templar Archives. This could be a big opportunity. 6 probes are picked off. Storm currently sitting at 67 seconds. And it is denied. So that does buy a lot of time for Special. And the most important part about what we just witnessed, ladies and gentlemen, there's no Ghost Academy. He's only just now starting it. But there are other and more important things that you would like to prioritize if you can. Getting this armory is going to open up the extra attack upgrades. We talk about how the upgrades make such a huge impact on engagements in Terran versus Protoss. Being able to delay your ghosts by even the smallest margin is nice because, A, you obviously don't want to worry about Storm, but you do want to have your upgrades focused on too. However, I'm not entirely sure that Special has what he needs to defend himself on the home front. He's bringing some of his forces back. He doesn't really have any anchor units like Liberators or Siege Tanks. Widow Mines are completely worthless versus a Colossi. He hallucinates a Phoenix to drag the mine hit, and he forces the unburrow. So it's a little bit of a dance going back and forth here. This little Bioforce is trying to pull the army away. But this is one of those situations where you suddenly wish you had 6 Liberators, right? And that's not a fun place to be because the economy is finally there for Special, but can he get out the units that he needs to deal with this? 1 or 2 hits from those Archons onto the Vikings will blow them to smithereens. In fact, the Phoenix pitching in, they don't care if they die. They just want the Colossi to live. Medevacs are coming back from the outside, but the army supply is starting to drop for both players. The defender's advantage is going to be a little bit invalidated by this Warp Prism. We have another 12 supply of Zealots warping in right inside the base of Special. The Prism is gone, but everything else is too. So the Colossi are no longer going to be contested. GG, Creator. It's going to tie things up 1 apiece. Nice. Well done, Creator. Well done. Oh, that's a good match. It's a good match, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get ourselves into game 3. I haven't seen any of these games. Seriously. I find casting games that I've already seen to be like calcified ligma. So I haven't seen these. These are all from, this is from the Korean ESL Pro Tour Cup. All right. So if you're wondering, you're like, Nate, have you already seen this? No, I haven't. Grim asks, is this the NA Cup? No, this is from the Korean Cup. I do not cast the Asia or European ESL Pro Tour Cups simply because I go to bed around 10 o'clock and I wake up around 7 or 8, depending. So, yeah, I just can't. I can't stay up to do that. I got a puppy. I got a little puppy golden retriever. Every time I take a swig of whiskey, he looks at me and he says, Dad, you're setting a bad example for me right now. And I say, I'm sorry, Lou. Then I take another swig. Creator is looking for a proxy. Should I introduce the players? Introduce the players? Okay, Jeff. All right. In the top right, we have the blue Protoss player. Tying things up. He is Creator. There you go. 9 hours of sleep. Well, I usually watch TV until about like 11:30. I'm watching a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So I don't actually sleep 9 hours, but It's kind of a weird thing to explain, I guess. But if you're that curious, by go to bed at 10 o'clock, I mean, I get my stuff ready, lie down, take the dog out one last time, make sure he's pooped or something, and then put on an episode of TV or something while I kind of chill in bed and, you know, personal life stuff. Anyway, his opponent in the bottom left, he is Special. Special. There you go. Look at that. Are you saying you're human? No. I'm Dancer. So it's the Adept opening. Pretty cheeky quick Adept, actually, coming out of our boy here. Wants to be safe against anything like a Reaper. It's not a Reaper this game. Actually, we had a bit of a shake-up here from Special. So he goes for the Reactored Barracks opening. And we are playing on Zen, which makes this the most dangerous game to be playing. Stargate opening out of Creator. 2 probes. These guys sitting here by the water cooler. Now they have to be quarantined. Oh, shit. They ran into a third. Okay. These 3 probes going to be quarantined over at the Natural. At Adept, not allowed to come in contact with them anymore as the Natural command center finishes up. But this map, honestly, when someone in the future will be like, Nathan, what's your equivalent of like Nom flashbacks? I'm going to think about this map and having 2 ramps into my base. Because bunkers literally don't do anything. Did you guys know that bunkers literally do not do anything other than sit there? It's kind of fascinating to think about. But when you have 2 entrances to your base, the second bunker doesn't actually do anything. And that makes me very sad. It makes me very sad indeed. This is a hard map to play defensively against ground pressures, which I do find interesting. Maybe the reason why you would be willing to play this map against Creator is because he hasn't gone for like early blink really in any of his games. In game 1, we had the Prism, but not blink. Not fast blink, at least, because of the proxy. And in game 2, we had the Stargate opening again. Guy in the chat says they actually add +1 range to your units. No, they don't. They do not. Units inside of a bunker can shoot a little bit further away, but the bunker itself does not actually do anything. SCV wants to check for a third base. We have a good amount of Marines up front, so you're not as worried about a Phoenix. And I actually think this might not be a time to try and push. Am I crazy? Maybe he was expecting a Stargate play. The medevac is going to allow you to get your 2 tanks through this. He's got an SCV tucked in the bottom right. He's going to bring some SCVs. I actually like this a lot versus the Phoenix opener. At this point, it really just comes down to getting into a good position before the Immortal's out. And then past that, you really just need to... I don't know if I like people pushing this ramp. I feel like I've never seen a Terran kill a Protoss from this ramp. You can do it here, but it's very hard to move your units through this choke point. Like really, really hard. But maybe we'll see it. Maybe we'll see it play out. There are a lot of Marines here after all. These Phoenix trying to kill the reinforcements. We do have a shield battery being targeted by the siege tank. However, there you go. Both siege tanks are going to get lifted up. The Marines for Special are trying to back it up. Trying to kill the Phoenix, but the Graviton Beam will come to an end. And I think that is going to bring the unfortunate end of this series. Creator Max Special in the face to take the 2-1 victory.